We gather together in different ways this morning, from computer screens, from telephones, from car radios. We gather reaching out across the wires, waving from a safe distance to come together in religious community. From living room to front porch to car seat, we gather as we are able, ready to be of service to each other and to the world, ready to build the community of hope and of love as we face this bright morning. We are apart, but we are together, offering our love, our commitment, our hope, and our prayers. In service to one another and this world, it is a new way, but an old way, that we come together in worship today. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos and this video worship service for Sunday, May 17th, 2020. Welcome into all of our homes and thank you for welcoming us into your homes. I extend a special welcome this morning to any newcomers who are coming to us for the first time through these video worship services. It may be a while yet before we can get together and meet you in person, but in the meantime, I invite you to come and learn more about our faith community by visiting our website at uulosalamos.org or connecting with us on Facebook. And if you have any questions or just like a conversation with me, feel free to get in touch with me by email. That's revjohn@uulosalamos.org. Everyone is invited to join us for some coffee and some conversation in our virtual coffee hour after the service this morning. It'll start at 11 a.m. Look for the link to that Zoom meeting in our announcements email list that went out yesterday or in the announcement in our virtual fellowship hall. And now, please prepare yourself for this morning's worship. Close out all the other distractions that may be around you. Close all your browser tabs, turn off your phones and your televisions, and create a holy space for yourself wherever that space may be. Feel yourself grounded in the space you are in. Breathe in, breathe out, and let us begin in silence. We light a candle today for all our sorrows, for everything that has broken our hearts and everything that has weighed us down. Whether we share it or not, we light this candle in remembrance. And we light a candle today for all of our joys, for everything that has lightened our hearts and opened them up to the world around us and our myriad connections. We light this candle. For all our joys, all our sorrows, whether we share them with one another or hold them in the tender silence of our hearts, let us be with one another in a moment of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we are setting apart so that we might become more fully present to ourselves, to each other, and to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. Spirit, open our eyes this day that we might see beyond the surface of our lives and into the dimension of our limitless and unbreakable connections. To see the interdependence so often hidden in the shadows of our own doubts and our fears. The interdependence that we sometimes only see in flashes out of the corner of our eyes. Inspire us into a playful creativity for holding on to those connective tissues between one another, exercising our capacity for care and compassion, that our ability to share the gifts of our spirits, the gifts of our shared spirit, becomes second nature, muscle memory, an embodied signifier of our faith's deeper purpose. Create in us a sense of true congregation, unfettered by place or by time, but built on a heart-deep awareness that we are loved, that we are worthy of life and all its gifts, that our lives are bound together, and that so bound we cannot give up on the world or on each other. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
Beyond Every Door by Reverend Molly Housh Gordon. Who here knows the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? And who here knows and remembers how Lucy discovers Narnia? Lucy looks for the perfect place to hide and opens up the door to a big wardrobe. She goes through the door and into the back of the wardrobe, and suddenly she's in a whole other world. A magical world with witches and fauns and talking beavers. Wouldn't it be cool if there were a magical world beyond every door? When Lucy opened the door to Narnia, It didn't look like anything special. It was just a boring door to a wardrobe full of clothes and coats, but across its threshold was magic. Lucy already had a foot in Narnia before she quite realized what was happening. Many of the thresholds in our lives are like this. We don't know that we're crossing into another world until we're already halfway there. The door of a church takes us down a pathway of growth that we might never have expected. The door of the doctor's office suddenly opens out into life with a hard diagnosis. A restaurant door opens onto a first date and echoes forward into the relationship of a lifetime. A beloved person's door closes behind you and sends you out into the world heartbroken. The door to a library or a gym or a dance studio introduces you to a life's passion you might not have otherwise discovered. We cross these thresholds every day of our lives, for good and for ill, in joy, in sorrow, in bittersweet truth. Truly, even our own front door is a great threshold, no matter how familiar the worlds within and without may be. Given our lives' reality of constant change, every day we open the same old door again, only to step out into a world that is new since the day before. In this such way, there is a new world behind every door awaiting our discovery, if we will only encounter it as such. And today's intention table activity is to draw a doorway like this one. So what new world do you see through your doorway? You can draw your new world through your doorway too. Maybe you see something beautiful. Are people kind to each other in your new world? Maybe there are helping ninjas. Maybe in your new world, there is a vaccine for COVID-19 and fairies bring it to people. Maybe dinosaurs live peacefully with humans. Maybe all people in your new world have a place to live and food to eat. Maybe nobody is starving. Nobody is homeless. What do you see through your doorway in your new world? So draw your doorway today and draw what you see in your new world through that doorway. And this is our time for all ages today. Peace, love, happiness, health. Bye, guys.
Our reading this morning comes to us from the Unitarian Universalist writer Patrick Murfin. This is the title piece from his meditation manual, We Build Temples in the Heart. We have seen the great cathedrals, stone laid upon stone, carved and cared for by centuries of certain hands, seen the slender minaret soar from dusty streets to raise the cry of faith to the one and only God, seen the placid pagodas where the gilded Buddhas squat amid the temple bells and incense. We have seen the tumbled temples half buried in the sands, choked with verdant tangles, sunk in coralled seas, old truths toppled and forgotten. We have seen even the wattled huts, the sweat lodge hogans, the wheeled yurts, and the Ice Age caverns where unwritten worship raised its knowing voices. But here we build temples in our hearts. Side by side we gather. We mix the mortar of the scattered dust of the Holy of Holies with the sacred water of the Ganges, lay Moorish alabaster on the blocks of Angkor Wat, and rough-hewn Stonehenge slabs, plumb Doric columns for strength of reason, square them with stern Protestant planks, and illuminate all with Chartres' jeweled windows and the brilliant lamps of science. Yes, here we build temples in our hearts. Side by side we come, scavenging the ages for wisdom, cobbling together as best we may the stones of 1,000 altars, leveling with doubt, framing with skepticism, measuring by logic, sinking firm foundations in the earth as we reach for the heavens. Here we build temples in our hearts, a temple for each heart, a village of temples, none shading another, connected by well-worn paths, built alike on sacred ground. Last Sunday, I had a lovely Zoom family reunion with Jess and the kids and my in-laws, sharing stories about what was going on in our corners of the world and how we were surviving the quarantine and the pandemic. My in-laws told a story last week about going to the Tulip Festival in Orange City in Iowa, which had been canceled. They just went looking through their car windows. See, the tulip bulbs had already been planted months prior in preparation for the festival, and, well, the tulips aren't going to sit out the pandemic like we are. They will bloom no matter what, and so why not go out and see them? And so go to see the tulips they did, driving around the grounds of the festival, looking at the colors of the blooms through their car windows. I thought this was a marvelous metaphor for what we are going through right now. Not even a metaphor, a reality, really. Life goes on. The tulips wait for no one. The cycles of life persist, and the milestones of our life go on. It's just the points of view and the points of access that have changed out of this new necessity. And all over the country, all over the world, really, we are watching just how creative we human beings can be in changing our points of view and the ways that we access the ongoing cycles of our lives, our creative spirits. Here in the congregation, we have created this new window into life out of this necessity. And I am incredibly grateful to everyone who has made these last few weeks of video worship possible. To Rick Bolton and to Mike Begnaud especially for opening up the internet channels to get it out to you, and for putting together all the various videos we are recording from our various domiciles, putting that together into a cohesive worship for you to watch, and to all of our guest musicians and to all of my staff for making this possible. I am immensely grateful that we have been able to continue worship through this new window. And I'm grateful to all of you for the feedback we have received, for all of the good words and the compliments we have received on the work we are doing in these difficult times. But alongside all the well wishes and the good words, what I'm hearing more and more from you frequently is, even though you are enjoying these video worships, you want to know, how long are these going to go on? How long will this go on, and when will we go back to worshiping in person? The answers to those questions in order are, I do not know, and when it is safe. I don't know how long this will go on, and we will go back to doing this when we know that it is reasonably safe to do so. Now, what does safe look like? I don't know. I do want to tell you today that we have a team in place of medical experts and folks familiar with public health policy to give us good advice on the whens and the hows of reopening the church, to advise us on what the conditions of safety might be, and to help us develop good practices for maintaining that safety when we come back together in person. Now, I've assumed for a while now that this video worship, this separation and closure of the building, might go on longer than we might reasonably expect it to. I've known at the very least that we will roll out the timeline for our eventual reunion much more slowly than the state of New Mexico might allow for. We know that mass gatherings will be one of the last pieces of the phased reopening of the state. And so that is the condition I have been expecting. And then this week we received email and notice from Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, talking more about safe practices for reopening our churches nationwide. And what they said basically is this: we should plan on being a worship community that is primarily virtual in nature, with some small offshoots of in-person gatherings for quite a while. that we should be virtual primarily with a small in-person component. And we should expect to do this through at least May of 2021, for at least a year. Now, this is a disheartening answer. It is for me, and I'm sure it's disheartening for you to hear this. But it's also not surprising. And we are taking that advice to heart here, to plan for the long haul. We hope for a happier answer. We hope for a reunion that is much sooner, but we are planning for the long run. The life of the congregation goes on as life itself goes on. But as another of my colleagues said on Facebook this week, there is nothing that we do in the life of the church that is worth any of us dying over. And so, rather than ask the question, how long and when will we get back together, I'm looking at things through the lens of a new question. What will a full year as a virtual congregation look like? What will it look like for us, and how will we manage to be a virtual congregation for almost an entire church year? The answer is we will learn to build the temples in our hearts. When the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans, the leaders of the faith community taught people to recenter the idea of where the holy lived, no longer in a physical space, but carried with them in their hearts, no matter where they might scatter, to build the temple in their hearts. And that is the work we all must engage in now. In the weeks to come, we will be taking part in some very intentional planning of how to create some more meaningful ways to engage with one another and connect to our congregational community. In fact, you'll be seeing my face a little less frequently over the next 6 to 8 to 10 weeks as I step back from worship a little bit to concentrate more on what this full year plan might look like. But I won't be doing this work alone. I say we will be taking part in this intentional planning because you have a part to play in this work as well. We are each carrying the temple in our hearts now. And this will be a process of mutual discovery. For only you know what the church means to you. And for us to learn what is essential to congregational life in this moment, what is necessary to you, what sparks you in congregational life, we need to be able to see it through your eyes. We need to get a look through that new window that we haven't necessarily looked through before. And so the question I want to pose to all of you today is, if nothing in congregational life is worth dying over, what is it that you live for with us? What is it that is essential that you need? Earlier this year, I asked you all in worship to think about 3 things in terms of your life in relationship to the church. What was the door that led you in, and what was the glue that kept you sticking here, and what was the purpose that you found in being part of this community? And I would ask you now to return to those thoughts, to call them up again, remember what your answers are, or come up with new answers if you had some more time to sit with those questions. Because that is what we're going to need to know in the next several weeks. That is what I need to know from you. For this cannot be simply my vision of what virtual church is going to look like. What spark of this faith community do you carry in the temple of your heart? What spark do you carry that sustains you throughout the week, beyond Sunday? And what do you need from us, and what do we need from one another in order to keep that spark glowing, to keep that fire lit? And what doorways do you need, and do we need to build for you to continue to have access to that temple? The good news this week is that life persists. The cycle of life goes on. The life of the congregation persists as well. It is only the vantage point that has changed for a short time. Come and help me build some new windows and some new doorways. Let us build those together. I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to building with you. May it be so. And speaking of looking at things through new windows, this is the time of year we would be calling our high school seniors forward to recognize their achievements and the next steps in their journeys. Today, rather than in person, we do it over the ether. Our graduates from the class of 2020 are Amaya Coblentz, Lillian Peterson, and Zach Tobin. I give my congratulations to each of them, and I wish them well. We've invited our seniors to share a few words with us today, if they'd like. Here are videos from Amaya and Lillian.
Hello everyone, my name is Amaya Coblentz and I'm a graduating senior this year. I wanted to extend my greatest thanks to everyone in the UU community of Los Alamos for everything that you have done for me over the years. Growing up in the UU church and attending RE instilled in me a basic value system that I still believe in, and my favorite principle has always been the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, because I truly believe that as a child and adolescent, I was given the opportunity to search for what I believed in without the threat of judgment or questioning. I'm also incredibly grateful for the way the church accepted me for who I am without judgment. I've been given many leadership opportunities that have helped me develop my leadership skills, such as being named a nationally recognized luminary leader by the UUA and being the Mountain Desert District Junior District Chair. I believe that growing up in this church provided me the skills to be open-minded to everyone and their ideas and be able to critically question what I'm taught in school and in life. As I make the transition on into my future by attending college in Washington, I will always hold the UU values in my heart, and the first thing I'm going to do in Bellingham, Washington on the first Sunday is find a UU congregation to join. I'm out. Love you all.
Congrats to our high school seniors, our graduates, you who are completing the GED, UU Bridgers, and young adults. Congrats. Whatever label you want to give yourself for all that you have and will accomplish at this threshold in your life journey, we celebrate you and your accomplishments. So remember that as you journey into young adulthood, know that we, your church community, are always here for you. We who have seen you grow want to continue to support you. We have 4 awesome UU Bridgers and young adults to celebrate this year. Lillian Peterson, Ben Hodeling, Zach Tobin, and Amaya Coblentz. And I also wanted to recognize that Amaya received recognition from the UUA as a UU Luminary Leader for her outstanding service and leadership in UU communities and in district youth leadership roles. So we also want to celebrate her luminary leadership today. And we are so proud of our 4 UU Bridger young adults. We've seen you grow, and we are proud of all that you have accomplished. So we're happy to celebrate with you today. And we have these gifts to give you that are coming in the mail from your church community. They are Unitarian Universalist pocket guides that you can take with you on your journey forward. And they have awesome readings from UU folks across the country, ministers, worship leaders, DREs, all the above. And they have our Unitarian Universalist principles and sources as well, in case you forget them. So today I picked out a reading for you all, and I'm going to read part of it for you right now. And this reading is titled Saving Our Lives by Reverend Roberta Finkelstein. This church saves lives. It will save your life if you let it. Not just your life, of course, but all of our lives. My story is a story of pain and loss and gratitude and redemption. The church saved my life, and through this experience, I came to understand that the purpose of the church is to save lives. My story is a story of what happens when we are at our best, not necessarily how we are every minute of every day, but every minute of every day is not a life-saving minute. All I know is that at those times when one of us needs a lifeline, the rest of us are ready to offer it. We may be clumsy, we may miss the mark the first time we throw it, but we will keep trying, and we will gather more people around to help us rather than trying to do it alone. And in the end, we will fulfill our primary function, and we will save each other's lives over and over again. The church saved my life. That's how I learned the real reason why the church exists. That's why I'm a minister. Sometimes that gets lost in all the other things that the church does in the meantime, in between life-saving exercises. But all of what we do is in service of readying ourselves for the next life-saving exercise. We have potluck dinners and salad Sundays and other chances to get together in fellowship, and we have fun and enjoy each other. The board makes policy decisions and keeps an eye on the budget. The council coordinates the yearly calendar. We plan worship services and adult education programs and musical events. We orient and welcome new members. We teach our children. We do all of these things day in and day out. And then somebody gets sick or loses their job or finds themselves mourning the death of a loved one. And then, no matter what we were busy doing, we remember that the purpose of this church is to save each other's lives. And we do just that over and over again. And so as you journey forward, remember that wherever you end up, that there is always a UU community ready to receive you. And also that we are here to continue to support you as well. And so if you go out in the world and come back to Los Alamos, come say hi. And congrats, and we celebrate you this day. Bye.
When we dedicate our young children in this church, we give them a rose with the thorns removed as a sign of this community's dedication to keeping you safe and secure as you grow. Today, as you prepare to go out from this community, we send you another rose. You seniors will be receiving it at your home sometime soon. But this time, the thorns are in place. We can no longer keep you safe in the same ways that we have. The trials and the pains of life are yours to wrestle with now. When we dedicate our children, we pledge to help them grow in spirit. If we have lived up to that pledge, then you are more than ready now to handle the thorns as well as the roses. We are proud of who you have become in your time with us, and we are proud to say that you are one of ours. But remember, though, just as you are ours, we are yours. Carry the spirit of this community with you wherever your journey takes you. Practice your principles and your values in your new communities. Remember to reach out to us when you feel you have lost your center and when you need a reminder of who this person is that we have helped you to become. We celebrate the person you have become with us, and we wish you blessings on the road ahead. Once again, our offering recipients for the month of May are the Navajo Nation COVID-19 Relief Fund and the Pueblo Nations Relief Fund. The web addresses for both of those organizations are here on your screen and in the service notes below. I invite you to visit their websites, learn more about how they are using your funds, and make a direct donation to either or both of these organizations. Please give as generously as you can, and may what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. Friends, may life bless us and keep us, the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we are given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.